How is everyone doing? Welcome. It is January 28th, 2026. This is RambleCast, and I'm your host, Cody Toombs. I hope everyone's having an excellent week so far in this incredibly cold winter. I already know. I don't think anyone's having a great time right now, but hey, we can try, right? I'm somewhat lucky in that it is cold here, but it is not the crazy aggressive cold that certainly some people are experiencing. So I'm kind of lucky in that way. I'm sure plenty of other people not so much. And hello, Austin. How you doing, sir? Hope you're doing well. So, I was going to try to cover a lot of topics today, but truthfully, I just looked through so much news and kept coming up with goose egg. There is a lot of sort of little stuff that could be talked about, but I don't feel like there's that much to say. Just as an example, like the Snap AR glasses. Interesting they're doing it, I guess. I don't have anything to say on it. It feels like one of those things that's going to happen. The people who pay very close attention to Snap are going to be very interested. And that's it. I don't think it's going to register outside of that group. And even then, I'm not even sure it will register to that group that much. And that's not meant to be a slam on Snap, but truthfully, I kind of feel like Snap might have just hit that phase where anyone who uses it today is the only audience that will be using it tomorrow, and probably not going to be increasing at any stage from that point on. Just call it a guess. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's sort of a slowly vanishing company or brand. Anyway, so I tried looking through a lot of stuff. I just didn't see anything that jumped out at me. So we're keeping it kind of limited on topics, but I actually have a lot to say on some of them. Yeah, it's going to be one of those days. But I guess with that, I'll slip into the first one, which is, dare I say, probably the funnest news of the week. Google AI Plus. So Google is, Google has had, obviously, at this point, I feel like I'm about to say a whole bunch of stuff that Austin, if anybody, knows a hell of a lot better than I do. But Google AI Pro has been a plan for quite a while. Obviously, it offers more access to Gemini 3 with the Pro plan, including higher levels or higher allotments of video creation credits, image creation. You can access the highest Gemini 3 model, I believe. Maybe it's not the highest. Anyway, you can access the Pro model. And I think you can with the Plus plan too. I didn't actually check that. Nevertheless, Plus is their new plan. It's basically a lightweight version of the Pro plan without going down to the super base level Gemini 3 access. It's unsurprisingly cheaper. This is going to be $8 a month. Very notably, they have the initial for 2 months. It's going to be half price, so $3.99. I find this a little irritating because they do the thing that various other companies do, where honestly the regular price is so subtle you almost don't notice it. When you look at the pricing page, I mean, it's really obvious here when it's sort of focused in, but when you look at the pricing page itself, honestly, all you see is a $3.99. And you kind of notice maybe it's monthly or something, but you don't quite click that, oh, that price is actually going to double after 2 months. I hate when companies do that. I really do. Regardless, also, when you see it right next to this is weirdly not misleading. That's not the word I would choose to use for it, but it's certainly throws you off a little bit when it's like, oh, yeah, I can get the bad one for $4 a month, noting again that you don't necessarily notice that that's time limited, or I can get the good one for free. Obviously I'll get that one. I know, obviously intelligent people know better than that and look at it, but it doesn't necessarily click instantly, and that I think is the issue. Let's see. Also, as this shows very clearly, you do get fewer monthly AI credits to use for video generation. I don't know. I do wonder how many people use that. I don't know that there's really a clear reporting of how many people are using it, but I'm just very curious because it seems like you can run it seems like unlimited queries through for like regular text generation using the Gemini 3 Pro model, either thinking or pro, but it's only video generation that has limits. Am I right about that? It seems to be the case. And then of course, as you climb or as you go along, there are other notable differences between pro. You're losing quite a few things when you step down to the plus plan, but kind of makes sense. The one thing that I find a little irritating, it's very specifically this top one here, Gemini Code Assist and Gemini CLI. It has bothered me so much. Why can't we treat the Gemini CLI the same way we can entering queries through the web browser? Just a little thing. Like, this isn't really changing much, except obviously automation is more possible with the CLI. But, and for anyone watching this who doesn't know, CLI is short for command line interface, basically just using a terminal or shell. But yeah, let us have at least some of this just for free. But no, that gets charged separately, and I've always found it kind of irritating. Anyway, so the Plus plan is certainly an interesting feature. I like that they're doing it, and I believe, Austin, I could be wrong, but I think you were the one who even said, hey, this is probably something that they're going to give away with the Pixel A series phones. And I said it then, I say it again, I completely agree. It makes all the sense in the world for A series phones to come with some sort of an AI plan that is not just like the free access, and for it to have something that you can give away with those phones that's not necessarily hardware. That certainly saves a lot of money for Google. It gives more credibility to their AI plans because they'll just simply have more users, which also, by the way, equates to more harvestable data. Google does benefit by being able to see what people are asking it, and therefore it translates to obviously a lot more information that they can feed back into the system in one form or another. But it would have been pretty unrealistic to give away AI Pro. The reasoning for that is quite simply AI Pro. 1 year of AI Pro comes out to $240. I mean, minus a few cents and change. $240. Whereas, just for context, and I forgot to pull up a link for this ahead of time, but let's see, pull it up real quick. The Pixel 9a. Right now, the Pixel 9a is selling for $399, down from $499. And obviously, if you do the right things, you can get it a bit cheaper than that. But $399. If you got the Pro plan with this, that is out of the gate over half the price of the phone would just go into the Pro plan. I'm sure obviously it doesn't cost Google that much. That would be a little insane, but that would be a huge amount to effectively give for free. People would just buy the phone, take the AI plan off of it, and then resell the phone. I mean, that's common sense. Like, if you can get the phone, get half of its value right away, and then just resell it for, I'm not going to say half price, but a little over half price. Though if you're getting it cheaper than $399 through any number of methods, you could sell it for half price and actually still make a profit. That wouldn't make a lot of sense for Google, and it would make way too much sense for basically a market of scalpers. Or maybe not scalpers, that wouldn't really be the right term for it, but regardless, you get the idea. Instead, with the Plus plan, that Plus plan comes out to $96 a month. Obviously, ignoring the 2 months half price bit. So at $96 a month, you're basically giving away still about a quarter of the phone's price in a free plan. That's still really good. It's just not going to eat up over half of its value in a free plan. So I think Google did the right, or Google would be smart to use the Plus plan with this phone. It just makes mathematical sense. So yeah, I like that thinking. I like the potential of the Plus plan. I don't know necessarily what else could get interesting with this. I'm not sure if the usage of the Plus plan is necessarily going to be the greatest experience. But hey, if people are getting what they need out of it, then cheers. That's obviously a pretty good deal. So, yeah, that kind of covers that one. But kind of backtracking a little bit in topics. Let's talk a little bit about someone who's going to be subscribing to the Google AI Plus plan, and that's Apple. So this was announced, 2 weeks ago? About 2.5, I guess. Apple is going to be using Google Gemini to run Siri, or rather the AI aspects of Siri. This subject has been talked to death. I'm not going to repeat everything about it. I think there's obviously been plenty of takes. A lot of people have read into this in whatever way that they want to. I've heard some of the takes. I agree with a few things people have said. I disagree with a lot of other things people have said. No matter how you cut it, like the common points are, this kind of makes Apple look a little bit bad because obviously they failed to deliver on their own AI technology to run Siri. I don't think anyone's surprised by that. It really didn't look like Apple had a clear plan. And judging by the fact that this happened, it also kind of demonstrates that Apple just didn't really have the technology base to pull this off. Or necessarily the talent to pull it off. And I'm also going to throw out a weird hunch. I think they also didn't have the training data to pull this off, because Google obviously has gone far out of its way to harvest training data. OpenAI was actively stealing training data from the internet for ages, and many other companies that have done any sort of training they're doing the same. Like, they've either licensed a ton or they've worked out a strategy to just harvest as much as they can, which of course has included things like licensing or cutting deals with Reddit, various news outlets, so on and so forth. Hey, David, how's it going, sir? Hope you're doing well. Just for context, and Carson, how are you, sir? Welcome, welcome. So for quick context, I am going back a couple of weeks to add some thoughts that I didn't really get a chance to hit at the time, and honestly completely forgot to include them last week when Corbin was on. So hitting this topic now, and then going into the big one shortly after that. So again, a lot of people have kind of been at Apple's expense just making some jokes, and I get that. I don't blame anyone on that one. They're right. Apple made big promises, flubbed it, and here we are. People have also been predicting Google is going to make absolute bank off of this, and yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think there's any mystery there. Apple is going to be paying out huge money to Google for this. Is it going to counter the amount of money that Google is evidently paying Apple for just keeping Google as the default search engine? I don't know. Probably not. I think Apple actually just won that trade. But yeah, I think this is going to quickly make that deal more or less irrelevant. It's going to be very good for Google that Apple is using Gemini, financially speaking. It's also going to be good for them in the sense of just information profitability. And what I mean by that is it's the same advantage that Google obviously has had with being the default search engine. While Apple is supposedly going to be running a lot of this stuff on private Apple servers, there's going to be, I have a funny feeling it's going to be an overwhelming portion of the queries are actually just going to go to Gemini Gemini itself. Because part of this arrangement is Apple's going to be running the Gemini model internally for privacy purposes. But if anybody wants to run a query that goes to the full Gemini model, which includes the ability to reach out onto the internet, then they'll be able to do that pretty easily and directly to Google. And at that point, Google sees their queries. I have a hunch that's going to be, maybe not a majority, but I think that's going to be a large portion. And that is really good, useful data. Google is going to benefit from this immensely. And sure, Apple's going to see that same set of queries, plus all the ones that are internal. But just going to go out on a limb here and say Google will be able to do more with that information than Apple will. Okay. Now here's the part I want to add. I think effectively Apple just stepped into a giant bear trap that they're going to be stuck in for many years to come. Now, I base this theory on what we already saw with Google Maps, and to a lesser extent what we saw with Google Search. If you remember back to the early days of the iPhone, obviously Apple included a Maps app, and yes, it was Google Maps. There was, of course, a long phase where everyone could universally agree, like, Google Maps on iPhone was just comically bad compared to Google Maps on Android because the iPhone was still stuck with that top-down view. All of your navigation was just kind of crappy, and it didn't even really have live navigation so much as it could just give you a direction. You kind of had to just look at the screen and follow where the line was, but it didn't tell you what to do. Google Maps on Android obviously had the, like, I guess it was sort of a 3D-ish view where it at least like tilted the map, gave you kind of like a top, or not top down, but like an angled forward view. This is navigation mode. Like I'm over explaining it, but that was a thing on Android for several years before it became available on iPhone. This, of course, was a big weak point for Apple at the time, and eventually Apple countered it by creating their own Maps app. And anybody who remembers, and I'm sure we all do, that didn't go well. That went horribly. Apple looked... Like, this was one of the biggest jokes for, 3-4 years, was Apple Maps. People were memeing it. People would, like, tell anecdotally that they got... that you couldn't use Apple Maps without getting lost. You couldn't use it without, like, falling off the world. That it would lead you into places that were just horrifically wrong locations, or in sometimes horrific places. Sorry, there are horrific places in the US. It happens. That's not a good reputation to have had, and it took Apple Maps several years to really break free of that. I even remember, I don't know where it's at right now, but I even made a meme about it at the time, which showed, hey Hoopy, how's it going? I will loose recap in just a moment. But I even made a meme that showed Christopher Columbus arriving to the US with a joke about Apple Maps leading him the wrong way. Like, I was making a meme about this. I never made memes, and I got in on this. Like, it was 25 minutes is starting soon. Not even close. Sir, I will have you know it was only about 8. Or 7. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I'm recapping from... Or not recapping, but I'm getting out some comments that I wanted to make a couple weeks ago and never got to. So, and then in a little bit, I'm going to transition to TikTok because I have a lot to say about that one. All right. And I did talk a little bit about Google AI Plus being announced this week. I don't think it's a whole lot that anyone hasn't already said, though. So I don't think you're missing much there. But getting back to this one, I think Apple, like I said, I think Apple stepped into a bear trap by deciding to use Gemini. Now, don't get me wrong. If we're going by just what seems to be the most efficient while also being basically the best, it's no question. Gemini is blowing OpenAI out of the water. At this stage, I haven't heard anyone defending OpenAI as being better than Gemini. Obviously, there are individual models out there that are more effective at certain tasks. Maybe not more efficient or as fast. Obviously, Claude, for example, pretty much kicks everyone's butt when it comes to coding. Hoopy, agreed. It's not that interesting other than where it fits in the pricing model. I will say, and I apologize, I don't remember if it was you or Austin that said this, but whoever suggested that it would make a lot of sense to include with the Pixel A series. Yeah, I think that's absolutely dead on. Anyway, getting back to this. Yeah, okay, it was Austin. I thought so. I've been talking so much the last 2 days, I already know my voice is going to struggle with this one, but we're going to power through. All right. Anyway, so we saw how hard Apple had to work to eventually break itself away from Google Maps, which was doubly funny because right after it tried to do that, Google Maps ended up launching its full Google Maps app on iPhone. And Every single iPhone user I knew was like, oh yeah, no, we downloaded that the minute it happened. Like, it was just better. Obviously these days, Apple Maps is good. I don't think anyone's really out there saying that it's bad these days. I do know people still say it's not as good, but look, you know, that's sort of like arguing which is better, iPhone or Android in general. And the reality is, look, they're both good. Who cares? Nitpicking the differences starts to just become a wasted effort. Anyway, the use of Gemini to power Siri, I think sets up Apple for a really, really long-term trap that they probably did not really anticipate, and I don't think they're going to get out of easily. So, what does this really equate to? Well, where I think it starts becoming a trap is, first, Gemini isn't done improving. Not by a long shot. And Google is very clearly advancing faster than anyone in the industry. While, again, Gemini may not be the very best for coding. It may not be the very best at image generation. It may not be the very best at any particular one task. It is, as far as I can tell, the basically hitting that sweet spot between performance, like speed of being able to give you a response, and quality, while actually being useful for most of the things people try to do with it. That's something no one else is quite hitting, or at least not as well as Google has done. The tricky part here is Google is also improving Gemini at a rate faster than OpenAI has been able to do with their models, and certainly blowing everyone out of the water when it comes to most of the other models that we're seeing out there. So Google is going to keep getting better. If Apple wants to break away from Google, they don't have to do better, but they have to do at least competent. And I think the bar for competent right now is down here. Give it another year, the bar for competency is going to be up here. Apple's not going to hit that bar in a year. Not a chance. The next year, that bar is going to be up here. The next year, it gets up here. It's going to keep climbing. It's going to take Apple several years before they can hit competency with an AI model that is going to at least be relevant enough that they could realistically detach Siri from Gemini. And detach is a word that I'm choosing for a reason because, well, The Verge actually had not the most insightful, but certainly a good editorial on this subject, titled "Apple Lost the AI Race. Now the Real Challenge Starts." And the subtitle, I think, actually says it in a perfect way. It's time to turn Apple Intelligence into something people actually care about. Right. But more importantly, it's time to do something with Gemini that makes Apple Intelligence worth having. So Apple's first task, the task they have to do now, today, is take the technology that is Google Gemini and start integrating it into all of their products. Obviously, they've already done this to some extent. We've already seen that with the Apple Creator Studio stuff. But the next several steps are all going to be literally hooking their existing software into Gemini. That's a lot of work. And I'm sure they'll be working on building their own models in the meantime and trying to build something out. But they're going to be doing all of this integration, and it's taking advantage of features that are already part of Gemini today. Features that they will, if they want to keep all of those features in their own software, they'll have to be able to competently perform as they build their own models. Again, not the easiest task. there's no shortcut to this stuff if you're trying to build it to eventually replace Google's own systems. They're going to have to build agents that support this stuff. They're going to have to build models that are capable of at least, again, competently competing with Gemini. That's a long way off. I think Apple's a lot more trapped than even Apple might realize. Okay, so before I continue, taking a quick look at some of the comments. The sort of leaked Gemini 3.5 Pro looks like it also might be the best at all those things, or at least coding as well. I mean, it's already really good, but yeah, if it can compete with Claude, that's gonna be a big deal. Even if it's not the best, it's still clearly a big improvement in under 6 months. They have to be able to argue they belong in the conversation, stay there indefinitely. I'm sure you're talking about Apple there, and yeah, that's a big part of it. And obviously that's why they made this compromise already. This is almost a deal with the devil situation. Because once they acknowledge that they have lost this fight, and I think by announcing that they're going with Gemini, they have acknowledged that. They have to now try to get off of their back foot. And in the meantime, they're going to be just trying very hard to catch up on just the interface of it all. And yeah, staying in the conversation is a big part of this. So it's not going to be an easy thing to do. Not even close. Let's see. And then you said, yeah, it's hard to imagine they won't be using the full audio-visual and maybe video modality, or sorry, multimodality, plus tool use. Such a high bar, even OpenAI and Anthropic struggle with it today. Deal with the devil bit. Because the timing on rumors suggests Apple started looking for outsourcing models around the Gemini 2 era, and I think, wait, is that Soda or Sora? Has grown hugely since. Regardless, yeah, state of the art, gotcha. And yeah, Apple, look, it's a possibility that Apple today has something that is comparable to Gemini 2. I mean, it's too late to roll out something like that, but it's possible that they have something of that level today. I've said today a lot right there. But even if they do, that's not good enough. And even if they could keep up with Google in terms of development speed, which that is a huge if. I don't think that's realistic for even a moment. If they are able to keep up with Google at that pace, that is still asking massive amounts. That in, a few years, 2-3 years, they introduce something that's comparable to Gemini 3 today. By then, Google is going to be so much further ahead. And like I said, that bar is just going to keep rising. And if they're not at least in the ballpark, I don't think that they can safely leave what Gemini offers. And again, in the meantime, like people who they're going to integrate all of these features across their apps. What are people going to feel like if one day Apple's like, hey, we think we finally have something that is good enough and warrants leaving Gemini? What are users going to think when all of a sudden all of their stuff just doesn't work as well? What are they going to think when their image generation is fine, but maybe it always gets the wrong number of fingers on people again? Because by that point, Gemini's not going to be making that mistake anymore. How about image generation where where you still can't get it to put in text that's spelled correctly or anything like that. But how about, I don't know, think of all the things that right now AI can almost do, but not really. Like, it gets it wrong still. What if it's getting it right everywhere else and Apple pops up with a model that just doesn't? But in the meantime, people will have gotten used to the fact that everything was getting it right. That's a really bad step down to take, and it's one that puts Apple into a real losing position. And that's why I think they really can't just leave. Not anytime soon. They bit off, like, to save themselves a bad situation today where they just don't have a good, useful AI model backing various features that they want to offer. They're avoiding it today, and they're paying a lot of money to do it. But in, again, 2, 3, 4, 6, maybe 8 years, I don't know if it takes that long, but it might. What if at that point they're still saying, man, we're almost there, but look at how much Google has added. And they're going to keep paying this bill for a long time. I think this is something Apple does not escape from anytime soon. And there will be many reasons why that is. I don't think it's going to just be as simple as like, oh, our model isn't as good. I think there's going to be, obviously, again, issues of like how much training data they even have to use. Google, I'm sure, just in a war of how much training data there is, I think Google has Apple absolutely dwarfed. I think Google's probably dwarfing everybody. Just realistically, Google is better at scraping data than any company on the planet. Google for sure has just more data than anybody. So no kidding. No kidding, you don't understand. Anyway, of course it would wake up to that. Okay, Hoopy saying the big thing for me is the big architecture changes still to come. The other labs might be able to keep up with Google on the next transformer type change, but Apple? Nah. It'll be Apple Maps all over again, but without any real promise it will ever catch up. And to that's the reason why I keep saying it doesn't have to be as good. I haven't upgraded my Nest Hub to Gemini. No, I don't believe I have. But if I think, again, this is an issue of competitiveness. Apple doesn't have to actually catch up completely. They don't have to be able... You don't have to sit down and say, oh, well, I can ask the same query of both of them and get the same speed, same results, blah, blah, blah. You just have to be close enough. You have to be close enough that people are like, okay, well, Apple's rolling out something. It's still a little newer. It's not quite as mature, but it's good enough. If people can universally say it's good enough, then they're not... That's fine. I think people can live with the fact that it's not literally as good. But if you reach the point of, like, where Apple Maps was when it launched, where there were literally giant holes in the map, where there was, you could ask it to navigate to, like, the nearest Chipotle, and it might come up with navigation directions like 6 hours away, where the real nearest one is, I don't know, like a 3-minute drive. There were times when you could ask it to navigate to, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some of the other ridiculous things. You could ask it to navigate, let's say, to Portland. And instead of taking you to the nearest Portland or the biggest Portland, it would pick any tiny little place named Portland, almost seemingly at random. Like, it screwed up on so many things so unnecessarily, and it was hilarious every time it did. Let's see. And then Hoopy, you said, have to imagine just on YouTube alone, Google is beating everyone, much less the Drive apps. I think we all know Google is kind of casually harvesting off of Drive and pretty much anywhere else. And it's well known that they're obviously training off of YouTube. There's never been a mystery about that. But supposedly Google isn't actively stealing off of Drive just because there's a lot of private stuff on there. But you never know. Anyway, I do think that this is going to turn Apple into... Well, Apple, I think, is going to be stumbling for years to come on this. It's going to hurt. I don't think there's ever going to be an easy time to break free of Gemini now that they're there. Gemini is about to become Apple's heroin. They're going to take one hit and they're never going to break that addiction. And when I say never, obviously there can be a someday, but it's gonna be so far from now. It's never gonna be easy. It's gonna be such a hard habit to kick. They will not break it anytime easily. Let's see. You think it's just assumed that they're training on all the user data that isn't behind a business plan to exempt it? Oh, with Drive? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to predict. Certainly they could be. I don't think Google is some sort of saintly company when it comes to this stuff. So, yeah, decent odds that they are training off of everything that they can possibly get, including users' data that presumably shouldn't be available. But I at least leave the possibility open. Yeah, right. Assumed meaning that they might not be doing it, but we should treat it as if they are, just for the sake of our own privacy. And yeah, I agree on that. So there needs to be a way to opt out of model training. You know what? I actually did skip a story that was on that. Apparently the EU is basically telling Google that, like, website owners, businesses have to, or Google needs to give them a way to opt out of being part of any sort of training models and being able to opt out of highlights and various other things. Obviously, that's not quite the same as opting out of Google Drive, but yes, I think we're long past the point where companies owe us the ability to opt out of being training data. That's actually a lot easier said than done, just because training up a model is a very, very slow, timely, and expensive process. And to just casually remove something from that training data, you basically would have to retrain the entire system from scratch, just minus that training data. And that doesn't work easily. That's an expensive process, and to do that for every single person that opts out would obviously be insane. So I'm not sure that this is something that they can or ever will do, just because the only option to keep it reasonably cost effective is to either assume everyone just opts out, at which point They just basically need to rebuild a model using the absolute barest of data, or basically go around with sort of a hey, we're sorry, we're training with your data no matter what. We'll just pay you to license it, which I don't think anyone's going to be happy with either. Slow and timely process, more reason why this might be Apple's heroin. How long are they going to be willing to foot that bill for no usable results? True. But also at the same time, I think they have to do it. Just in practical terms, it sucks to say, but it's kind of like mapping data. That became table stakes. It's a complicated thing. It's not an easy thing for them to do, but just like every company has to have certain apps, certain features, certain services, every company has to, like, if you're going to be the ecosystem company, like Google provides the Android ecosystem, Apple obviously has iPhone, iPad, Macs, Microsoft provides Windows. All of these are an operating system or hardware or something. It's table stakes just to be able to sit down and deliver these things. You have to also provide things like email service, a cloud service like cloud storage, and you have to have like malware prevention of some kind. You have to have an app store, even if no one uses it, like the Mac App Store. You have to be able to provide various things, and maps, even though people don't necessarily think about it all the time, maps was one of those things that became table stakes. You can't do a smartphone without maps. Google had it for ages. Microsoft obviously had its own map service, which they did use on Windows Phone, and it was a good enough service. Apple eventually had to own up and just make it happen. Right now, it's table stakes to have an AI solution. Someday, it's going to be table stakes that it's your own AI solution. And part of that is also going to be, I think one of the things that we're going to see emerge out of this is, and this is based on what I said earlier about one of the things Apple has to do is take Gemini and find ways to integrate it into all of its apps. So as they're integrating Gemini into the apps, Google is also going to be doing the same thing. Google is looking for ways to integrate Gemini. But Google has an advantage here, not just because they own Gemini and they can obviously, save on the cost of doing that. But Google also has an advantage in the sense that they have control over the agents that they write. They have control over different ways of accessing the model. They have more control over all of this. Not only that, but they also just inherently know what the model's going to be good at in ways that Apple is not going to know. Google can do a lot of this stuff on its own really effectively, very effectively. Apple's going to be at a disadvantage here, and always would be, no matter what. And anything that Apple does, Google can look at and just easily reverse engineer that. Apple's not going to have that same advantage. So it is in Apple's interests, if they want to not just be competitive, like they're literally going to be less competitive by virtue of the fact that they will not be able to do as much with Gemini as Google will be able to do. That is a huge weakness. In order to restore any sort of competitive capability, Apple will have to make its own model eventually, like its own competitive model. Again, we're talking competently competitive, not necessarily equally competitive. That's a weak point they have to overcome eventually. And if they never do it, like if it's 10 years later and they still haven't done it, I think we're going to be looking at a very different landscape where Apple has lost its market advantage. I mean, that's predicting 10 years into the future, so that's not a big ask. Not even close. But it is very crucial. I think that's the point where Apple could actually genuinely have lost its market advantage. And we're going to see a very different world at that stage. And of course, that's not hard to predict anyway, because there are things like a shift more towards AR glasses, possibly goggles that people might actually be willing to wear in public. Let's hope not, but it could happen. And smartphones will become less of the way that we interact with the world, less of a way that, or less of a tool that we're constantly reliant on. We will very likely be using other things that we wear. Those things might communicate with the smartphone as a central hub, but at the end of the day, I think we're going to be shifting a little bit away from the smartphone as our primary tool. And at that stage, if Apple, one, doesn't have the best AR, VR platform that everyone can't wait to get, or two, they don't have a competent and competitive AI system to rely on, I think Apple loses big. I think Apple literally just falls down, stumbles, and becomes the also ran. And that is going to be a really, really hard defeat to come back from. Let's see. Okay, and Hoopy said, who knows where we'll be in 5 years anyway? Maybe local models that can run iOS 30 devices will be good enough. Let's see. Google owns all the best places to put AI and agents too. Yeah, kind of. You feel like we're not a long way from Gemini and Maps going from a neat toy to being a huge UX change. It certainly could. I don't know that I necessarily see Gemini in Maps being as big and fundamental. I'll have to see what that looks like. I have trouble picturing what Gemini is going to do in that context, but I also wouldn't rule it out. I think you're certainly very, very likely right. I just don't picture. I don't have a good picture of what that is. Carson. It was just YouTube app bugging? I don't think you said anything unless it was in Discord. I don't see anything. Maybe your last comment didn't come across. Because the previous comment that I see from you was, you said that there should be a way to opt out of model training, just like how you can opt out of personalized ads. Yeah, okay, it lost the comment too. Great. Unless there was one that popped up. Nope. Okay, yeah. What you see in the video, or what you see on the video, is what I see here too. The app's just glitching. Lovely. But hey, this is also the one advantage that everybody has over Google. Man, Google's stuff is still glitchy. There's a lot of glitchiness. Nevertheless, the, I guess, kind of closing point is, Engadget is reporting, Bloomberg is reporting that Apple's going to be demonstrating the revamped Siri in the second half of February. So we're, say, 3 weeks away from something that is Gemini powered. And truthfully, I think Creator Studio already is. I'm pretty sure it is. Like, the AI features that they just launched, was it today? I'm pretty sure that that's all, somehow that's all Gemini powered. And it's not hard to believe that. It's most of those things are really things that we've seen Gemini do very well, and none of it is something that we've seen Apple's existing models be able to do. So I'm just going to go out on that limb. I think it's a safe bet. That's already Gemini powered stuff. So seeing Siri getting some sort of Gemini integration or support or capabilities, whatever phrase we want to use, I think they're probably going to start with something pretty okay, but just only okay. Like, it's going to incorporate some neat stuff, but that's about it. It's going to be sort of shoehorned in. I think it'll be a while before we see Siri delivering like the full Monty. Basically just there's not a lot they're going to be able to do in the short span of time. But once they've had, say, with the launch of the next iPhone, I think then we'll actually see a Gemini powered Siri that people will go, oh yeah, okay, now we get it. Good for you. You're back in the game. You're back in the game by cheating off someone else's homework, but hey, you're back in the game, and that's what matters. So yeah, that's my premise. I think Apple is stuck. This is I mean, you could use the bear trap analogy, you could use the heroin analogy, you could use any other analogy you like. You know, maybe they're trapped in an ICE detention center, whatever. Anyway, they're gonna be stuck for a long time. I don't think that this is gonna be anything that Apple escapes from within at least a couple years, but certainly I think at least 5 years out, they're still going to be reliant on Gemini, where everyone is going to be saying, yeah, but you're paying Google like $1 billion a month or something for this. Maybe you should find another way to do this that's not going to cost as much. Let's see. Gemini Siri is a weird one to predict since most of the work is separate from the model. They might very well already have been using Gemini as a reference for years. That's true. And I mean, I have thought about that, but bear in mind, they were also seemingly very partnered up with OpenAI for who knows how long. It seemed like OpenAI was going to possibly even be their winner for a little while. And then the announcement, oh yeah, we're going to use Gemini. Like, I don't doubt for a second that they were already testing it. I think they were already doing integrations. That way they could go to their bosses. You know, the developers were working on the integrations probably side by side and saying, okay, you know what? Take it to the manager. Let them confirm what we already know has to be the option. And we'll just show them like side by side. Here's us using Siri to query Gemini, and here's us using Siri to query OpenAI, and here's us querying Anthropic, and like that was obviously something they were already doing. There's no way they just one day decided, you know what, Gemini seems like it's probably the one everyone likes. Let's just use that, and then like after they signed the deal, they start working on it. I don't think it's like that at all. I'm pretty sure they knew what they were getting themselves into. But how long before they have something that really has more than like a handful or maybe even a couple dozen features? I think that's the difference. I think what we're going to see in February is sort of the like you can ask it to do some interesting stuff. So for example, maybe you could ask it to plot out your itinerary with flights, or maybe you ask it to make a list of the ingredients that you need to make a certain dish, and to put those in your shopping list and do, I don't know, some other thing with that, like figure out how much it's going to cost, let's say. That sort of stuff, I think they'll have pretty early on. It's the much more advanced, the much trickier things, the things that they'll have to probably build sort of custom logic into Siri to support various features. And again, this is just talking about Siri, but there's a lot that they're probably going to have to do, and I don't think that's going to all happen right away. Not even close. I think just integrating Siri is definitely going to be a slower, more painful process that they'll probably be working on for quite a while. That's why I think that the big launch is probably just going to come with the next iPhone. Launching something in February is great. That's going to be the sort of proof that they can do it. But it's going to be later when we start seeing all of the real integrations happen. Which, to Apple's credit, might actually give them a small, brief advantage, because I think they will be looking to do stuff that Google hasn't thought of. That could be Apple's one advantage, is they likely will look to use this tool in ways that Google, in ways that you can certainly use Gemini today, but you might have to do it more manually. I think Apple will be looking for ways to sort of automate that or build it right into various pieces of the experience. But I could be wrong. Apple has been falling down on software for quite a few years, and it's an unknown, to say the very least. That's putting it gently. But we'll see. I mean, February is, again, like 3-4 weeks away. We'll have an answer on this. And then I think it's going to be... I think we won't hear anything new or interesting until probably WWDC. Then I think they'll demonstrate some stuff that they're not going to roll out anytime soon. And then it'll be with the iPhone that they roll out a bunch of stuff. And oh boy, show of hands, who thinks the iPhone announcement in the fall is just going to be gangbusters, all AI? They will have almost nothing to show for hardware. Rumor has it they're going to change up like the they're going to supposedly change up things like how the camera module on the front facing screen, like they're going to change up some stuff there. Okay, fine. They'll make some tweaks here. They'll maybe do something interesting with Dynamic Island. All right, fine. They'll goof around with some stuff. I think the hardware announcements for the next iPhone are going to be really slim, and we're going to see that event almost entirely dominated by AI. Let's see, Hoopy. You wonder if Apple will seek out new interesting uses for AI, or they're going to just kind of go, new Siri can tell you what's in your email inbox now. Yeah, that's, I mean, we don't know. It's certainly, anything's possible, but yeah, I at least am giving them benefit of the doubt. I think they'll try. Whether or not they'll succeed is a different question, but I think they will try. You think that the on-device stuff is going to get more time than Siri? I don't know. I won't go to that one. I I do believe they're going to talk about it on device for sure, but I don't think they're going to have anything that impressive. I think they're going to really struggle to deliver that on device stuff that's going to be good enough that they'll want to show it off. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I don't have the greatest faith that on device is going to be their saving grace or that it's even going to be good. But hey, I'm nothing if not open to the possibility of being wrong on this. Um, let's see. Okay. Bu- 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 Sorry, just checking something. Okay, I think that's fine. Um, oh, sorry. Okay. Uh, True, they're on device right now. Are the silly notification summaries and the world's worst help me write tools. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not good. Actually, it is terrible. I take that back. Their notification summaries have been comically abysmal. Um, which, if anything, I think that has been their new Apple Maps. Like the Apple Maps catastrophes, we're seeing that happening again with the notification summaries. My one question is, will they have improved notification summaries in that time? Because that is something they were doing on device. It's something they built in house. Maybe they'll get help from Google on this. Like maybe they'll get a Gemini Nano model that they can run and do that. But maybe not. Maybe they're gonna roll that out, or maybe they're building their own model that they actually can eventually improve enough to be useful for that. I don't know. Notifications is something they need to get right, and so far they haven't. The biggest sign of Apple's defeat in AI would be them replacing the on-device foundation models with Gemma. I disagree, I think. Um, I don't think that's so much the worst sign of defeat. I think the biggest one is, well, I think the biggest one really is just that they finally gave in and were like, yeah, we're just going to use Gemini. Like for the server-based stuff. Anything that needs to be handled remotely, the fact that they had to go to Gemini instead of running it themselves, that I think is a bigger admission of defeat. Doing a lightweight model, something that can run on a small device, it's I don't know. Maybe you're right. It's hard to say. I guess that just depends on where you place your values on what is and isn't. Uh, it's sort of a catastrophe. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I'm less concerned about them switching the local models. Frankly, if they even went to like someone else's local model, just because maybe it would be more power efficient or something like that, I could see them doing that, and I wouldn't necessarily complain about it, just because the whole point is just um, compromising for mobile performance. And if that's something Apple can't necessarily get right, and somebody else does, so be it. That seems kind of plausible and fair to me. Um, the Gemma 3N models are kind of cool, even if you have no use for them. Um, One of these days, I need to look into those more, but I don't know. I haven't had enough time to look at too many models or really what they're getting, how they're being used, or what they're capable of. But yeah, I think I need to give in and just start paying closer attention. All right, give me just one moment while I tee up and hopefully recover a little bit of voice, because oh boy, do I have a lot to say about the next topic. Stop with the auto playing video. No, man, I'd love to make this a drone time conversation for so many reasons. Which I guess as a quick ad break, we'll call this an ad break, right? Ad break. So, oh, I could find a way if I really try. I absolutely could, if I wanted to. But no, we're not going to go that route. But I will turn this into, like I said, a bit of an ad break. If anyone remembers the anti-gravity A1 that I showed off on stream, here is an article about that. I have a review that, for reasons that will make sense soon, I haven't been able to post. You'll understand when I get to post it. Anyway, the anti-gravity AI, or sorry, AI, the anti-gravity A1 is on sale for about another week. It's 15% off, and part of their launch, which I don't have showing on screen right now, but part of their launch for this sale is that they're adding a like a practice flight mode. So basically you can, if you buy the goggles, drone, and controller, which of course is the full package, or the necessary parts of the package, actually I guess you don't need the drone for this, or I don't think you do. I think you just need goggles and controller. Anyway, you can enter a practice flight mode that basically just allows you to fly through like a demo world, and it gives you it gives you targets you can fly through, stuff like that. Actually I should have pulled up find the oh my god, there's, unrelated to this, there's someone who's, or a company emailing me nonstop for totally unrelated stuff, but I really am getting tired of how much emailing they're doing. It's driving me insane. But I also can't mute them. Oh, do I have to pull up the press kit for this? Okay. Yeah, it's not visible there. All right. I'll just... Can I search for the company? How about if I search for practice mode? Nah, really? Why is it so hard to find the video? This is nuts. Come on. I can find a channel called Anti-Gravity Tutorials, which I think is actually an official channel, but okay. Here's the channel. Do they have... They didn't even put the video up on their own channel. Why? Why would you not? Oh my god. I look. This company's new. I get it. But man, they really need to get that stuff figured out, because it looks goofy that they don't have the demo reel or demo thing on their channel. Did they put it? All right, it doesn't matter. You get the idea. I don't think I'm going to be able to find this if they haven't put it up on. I don't even see it on their website. I don't think I'm breaking any embargo. I'm pretty confident that the thing I saw in the email. Actually, I can even just look. Like, the email says, they're launching a flight simulator to celebrate the launch and the start of the year, kicking off global limited time offer from January 27th, which was yesterday, to February 9th, though that is their time, so it's actually February 8th. I believe it is. And yeah, so anyway, if you were thinking about buying this drone, click through, check out my article, and down at the bottom there is a link to pick it up from the anti-gravity store, or let's see, it is down here at the bottom. Yeah, I linked to the anti-gravity store, Adorama, and I do link to B&H. Don't get it through B&H. In part because I don't have an affiliate link there because B&H was jerks. And also, Adorama is a better store. Don't ask how I know. But either anti-gravity or Adorama, I have affiliate links to. So it is appreciated if you do choose to buy through them. Anyway, yeah, awesome drone. I'm still pretty impressed with it, and I can't wait to get my review posted. All right, so ad break over. We got to talk about TikTok. It's time. So the deal is done. TikTok is now official, or TikTok US is now officially a thing. Separate from, do we have to? I mean, I'm going to be talking a lot of trash, so. I'm going to be talking plenty of trash, so buckle up. So the deal has happened. It is official. TikTok is now owned by a group of investors that are in various ways aligned with or beholden to Trump. This includes, let's see, so this includes Oracle, which already is not ideal. The investment fund or private equity fund Silver Lake, which of course has its own sort of sketchy background, and of course the United Arab Emirates investment firm MGX, which again, not necessarily an ideal partner. There's sort of sketchy history with all of these, or at least some sketchy reputations. So none of it would I call ideal, but here we are. Hold on. Oh, come on. Damn it. Fly where I can hit you. Okay. The stupid gnat is going to hide now. Okay. Anyway, so we knew this was coming. I don't think there was ever a mystery about this. And obviously the Ellison family is on its on all kinds of acquisitions these days, having just picked up Paramount, trying to pick up Warner Brothers Discovery, and now also obviously TikTok. So yeah, this is ugly, but hey, that's the world we live in. Out of the gate, there have been some not necessarily ideal circumstances. It's been so the acquisition was so recent you could measure in hours rather than days before some pretty suspicious, seemingly censorship-oriented changes were made, as various people highlighted that you couldn't upload anti-ICE videos. Others pointed out that anything mentioning Epstein was automatically either getting rejected or their videos would get 0 views, or at least very, very few views in some cases. And a number of other terms and subjects were highlighted where basically, yeah, all kinds of things just seemingly weren't allowed. And a whole lot of it seemed to be political. Very notably, the TikTok came up with an interesting excuse, claiming that a power outage caused the problem. And that supposedly a lot of different videos, not all having to do with politics, were having similar effects. Now, some people did test this, and they were able to find that videos that had, let's say, just the word test in the title or various other generally innocuous things were supposedly also having trouble. There were other people who managed to upload videos without a problem, but only those mentioning politically hot topics were struggling. So, who do we believe? I mean, at this stage, I think a healthy dose of skepticism would be a good starting point, and just assuming that anything TikTok US says is a lie is probably just the right choice. But hey, you do you. So you're telling me that US is censoring TikTok more than China? Austin, I believe that's, in fact, very possibly what I and many, 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 many other people are saying. So the claim about this is not totally unreasonable. It basically asserted that there was a power outage in one of their data centers, and it may have resulted in basically allowing videos to be uploaded but not necessarily indexed properly or passing through their like ingestion system. So whether or not any of that's true, I don't know. There was also briefly a theory that apparently it didn't break the computer, or the power outage didn't affect the computers, but supposedly affected just routers. I'm not kidding. I don't understand where that theory or messaging came from, but supposedly it was a thing. And I think whoever may have said that was probably bullshitting and didn't have a better answer at the time. Anyway, so I mean, we're not even into the first week, and we've already got a censorship crisis is the word I'm going to use, which certainly looks bad. It's not a good sign in any way, shape, or form, no matter how you spin it, and it looks horrible. That being said, I will give them this one micrometer of allowance, which is, it is their first week. if there weren't some technical difficulties, it would be weird. That being said, again, it's so much weirder that the technical difficulties they had seemed so focused on political things and nothing else, at least for a while. Other things, again, were eventually affected, but strangely didn't seem to be at first. People noticed this only with the political stuff when they first ran into it. So, I mean, you be the judge. That being said, in response to this incident, and again, we're less than a week into the US version of TikTok coming into existence, effectively. And Gavin Newsom, governor of California, has already announced he's going to call for an investigation into TikTok for violating state law by censoring Trump critical content. Yes. They exist less than a week and they're already getting investigated. That is like world record level fuck up. You have to try to get yourself like you have to do so many things stupid and wrong to end up being like, yeah, we're just going to investigate you right now because you're obviously already breaking the law. I think that's just, it's so fun that they are screwing up at that scale, at that level. I appreciate the total collapse of all common sense that they thought they could get away with just outright like demolishing any sort of censorship subtlety. You feel like we've got bigger fish to fry? Oh yeah, we absolutely do. But at the same time, look, what else was the California's or what else could California be doing at the moment? Like, and I mean specifically like their attorney general. Attorney general. Like, why not send California's attorney general after them right now? He's not gonna do anything else. He's not gonna like get his happy ass up and sent to Minnesota or something. So yeah, it's fine. Do an investigation. Hit on multiple fronts. It makes sense. So yeah, I'm pretty okay with the idea of spending a little bit of time on something like this, especially because look, at the end of the day, when ICE leaves Minnesota and very likely goes somewhere else, or when maybe Trump leaves office, or through whatever series of events leads to that, or name whatever other circumstance comes along. Go ahead. At the end of the day, who's still going to own TikTok? It's the guys who already spent the money on it. They already signed the checks. Who's going to control TikTok? It's not the Trump administration. It's Silver Lake, MGX, and Oracle. Who is going to be calling the shots at TikTok? Same people. They do not leave with this administration. So this is a fight that is going to happen anyway. It may as well start happening today. Imagine a version of this where the new owners are so politicized that they run US TikTok into the ground and are forced to sell it at a steep discount a la Tumblr. Fun you say that. We're gonna get there. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna change the order of the things I was gonna bring up here just because. As it turns out, there's already attention on a TikTok competitor. So I don't have a lot to say on this. I haven't played with it. Honestly, I don't even really like calling it a TikTok competitor. And yes, of course TikTok is the new Twitter. Yeah, absolutely. Like, Elon bought Twitter, he ran it into the ground. And now it's only people who are truly addicted to Twitter that still stay there. And no, I'm not trying to attack anyone who does still stay on Twitter. I'm just saying that you're helping feed the Nazi machine when you do. Anyway, so there's a new app, or relatively new app, called Upscrolled that is apparently doing really well since the acquisition. Let's see, what did they say? Yeah. So uninstalls of TikTok have risen 150% in the United States compared to the last 3 months. Oh yes, Upscrolled is a horrible name, but to be fair, TikTok was a pretty crappy name too. People are just used to it now. Upscrolled will eventually be... either it'll eventually fail and people just leave it behind, or it will become the next thing that everyone's just used to saying. And it's very possible that at some stage people just call it scrolled or something to that effect. And it is apparently an Australian-based company. The founder, I know I saw his name, but I've forgotten it since. Isam Hijazi. I'm probably butchering that, and I apologize to Isam or whatever. Nevertheless, yeah, apparently he is privately funding it, and right now I believe it has no actual way of making money. But hey, it is what it is. There will probably be ads. He even acknowledges currently no ads, but there probably will be in the future. That's to be expected. Like, that's how this works. You get the funding, you get the followers, and then you launch ads. That's what Mark Zuckerberg did with Threads. And to be fair, everything else, or all the other platforms, at least the ones they didn't buy outright. And yeah, that's usually how it goes. I'm sure they'll have some other means of making money too, but that day will come. Anyway, I don't know how well this service is doing. It seems like it's doing well enough that their servers are actually struggling to keep up, which is usually a pretty good sign. That being said, they're going to have to scale up pretty quickly in order to stand any chance of taking over. And I think taking over is a long shot. But if it works, it works. That being said, let's talk about why every single person should be rushing. Yes, I'm using the word rushing to get as far away from TikTok as possible. For those that haven't been following along, and this is the part that I kind of want to hit, and I'm going to link the video where I got most of this from, because I haven't had the time to look through the terms of service, but that is linked in the chat. This is a entertainment lawyer. I forget her name, and I'm not going to look it up right now, but this is an entertainment lawyer who basically spends 16 minutes discussing the things wrong with the terms of service. Since that is a very garish YouTube thumbnail, I'm going to click off of that and return to this this title shot from NBC. But or actually, you know what? We'll go back to me for a little bit. All right, let's talk about some of the new and scary things that are in the licensing terms for TikTok. Or sorry, not licensing terms, but the terms of service. If this is what you get if you go into the TikTok app now, you have to agree to new terms of service. This is what you're getting. So first off, let's talk about the subject of licensing. We'll start with the good news. When you upload a video, you still own it. It does belong to you, and so you have full rights at any time to do whatever with that video you choose to. You could sell it, you can upload it to other services, you can do all of that. The video still belongs to you. Good news. But that doesn't mean a whole lot, and we're about to talk about why. Because here's some of the other things that are going to be happening. First, their terms explicitly spell out that you are granting TikTok a royalty-free, perpetual, total usage license to anything you upload, even if you don't make it public. If you just upload something and it goes into drafts and you never publish it, or if you were to make it private or anything like that, they still have a license to do whatever they want with it. Period. And they do spell out some of the things that they consider that they can do with it. And boy, they can do a lot with it. Okay, so they can use your content however they like, in whatever context they want, without paying you, notifying you, and with the freedom to alter or remix anything in any way. So if they want to use your video in, let's say, an ad, if they want to put it into, or if they want to show it off site for any reason, maybe they launch a totally separate service and for some reason decide that your video is valid, or that they want to show your video, they can do that. They don't have to pay you. They don't have to tell you that they've done it. They don't have to do anything for you because they have full royalty-free access to that video forever. And emphasis on forever. This is a perpetual license. Austin asking, can they remove your clothing with AI? We're going to get to that. I'm not kidding. We're going to actually get to that. Next up, they can retain the right to transfer and sub-license your content to partners. That means that they can sell it or give it to anyone they choose. Basically, it is a full transfer of, again, the royalty-free, perpetual, total usage license. Or they can change the license terms. If they want to, they can... they could have a partner that they say, you know what, you want to use this video for the next 6 months, you pay us for the rights to that video, you can do it. And they can set any limits they want on it. Again, they don't have to compensate you, and they don't have to tell you about it. They have full freedom to do whatever they want with that video as if they owned it. So yeah, that's just a start. By the way, old TikTok did not have all of this. They had a little of it in various ways, but they did not have all of this. And we're getting into the scarier stuff as we go along. Also, they say outright that they will be using your videos for AI training. Straight up, it is in their terms of service. They don't even like inch around it. They actually just acknowledge they will be using it for AI training. Every video that gets uploaded will be passing through their system. It is analyzed by AI and training their AI. Period. Let's see. David, those White House TikToks are going to get wild. Have they not already? Okay. So, they can also, or part of this they also retain the rights to your likeness based on anything that you have uploaded to TikTok. Wrap your head around that. They own a license to your likeness. Now, taken as a whole, they effectively have right of agency to your likeness. Now, let me give an example of what that looks like. Let's say a company were to approach TikTok, or sorry, not TikTok. Let's say a company, I'm just going to, obviously Nike would never do this, but I'm just going to use Nike as an example, just for giggles. Let's say Nike were to approach Charlie D'Amelio and Addison Rae and wants them to do an ad. And let's say both of them say no. Nike, again, not really Nike, but hypothetical Nike, could then turn to TikTok US and say, hey, we'd like you to generate an AI version of Charlie D'Amelio and Addison Rae doing what we say, and we'll pay you instead. The terms allow this. That's real. The terms allow this. Now, it is worth noting, there are other laws that would protect them to an extent, but not automatically. It is not illegal to do anything that TikTok's terms have, or that in this scenario. Like, this is all perfectly legal under TikTok's terms. They are getting people to agree to signing over their likenesses and any of the content that they've uploaded, and that content can again be reused, remixed, regenerated, all at the discretion of TikTok US, or whatever the company is called exactly. I forgive me, I don't remember the exact terms or the exact name of it. This is all possible and all legal, mostly legal. By the way, quick reminder, I'm not a lawyer, so there may be a few things in here I'm not saying in perfect phrasing, but this all checks out from what I've been able to tell. So the fact of the matter is, the existing laws, like if some company wants to trade on your brand, they basically can. But it gets worse than that. So that was about licensing of content, and again, your likeness and various other aspects. There's also a section in there about usernames. Now, bear in mind, username means more than just username, and this will make a lot of sense in a moment. So they expressly state that they own your username on the platform, and they have the right to revoke it at any time for any reason. Now, that also allows them to reassign your name. And it's not just your name that they're reassigning, it's actually the whole account. So at any time, if, let's say, you build up 100,000 followers, if they decide to, they can revoke your account. I know I said 100,000. Let's go with a number that actually matters. Let's say that you've built up 80 million. I believe that's where Addison Rae's at right now. I think that she's got 80 million followers. And Charlie D'Amelio's at something like 110 million. Let's say that you build up 80 million followers on your account, and for whatever reason, TikTok US decides that they don't like you anymore. Maybe you're too demanding that you actually get paid for putting content on their service. All they have to do is say, yeah, cool, we're done with you. You're gone. They can ban you. You've got no recourse, which that part is expected. It's their service. They can then hand your account with its full follower count over to someone else. That somebody else could then post videos to your entire follower base. That could include branded content that they're getting paid for. It could include pretty much anything. And let's refer back to that previous section about owning your likeness and being able to trade, or being able to transfer your content and likeness to other people and allowing for remixing, etc., etc. And again, AI training. Because, strictly speaking, TikTok could just take over the account or hand it over to someone else who could then generate video and literally trade on your brand and name. Everything in their terms of service allows this. Every single part of their terms of service paves the way for this exact behavior. Now, again, there are laws that basically say you can't literally operate on a brand belonging to another entity. So if they did this to, say, Addison Rae or Charli D'Amelio, they basically could say, look, our names are a brand, you can't do that. And effectively it would become a fight over brand ownership. Charli D'Amelio and Addison Rae have the ability to have that fight. Smaller creators, probably not as much. And very notably, that would be... the laws start falling apart if somebody were to say, not try to impersonate you, but just simply publish through your channel. So if TikTok were to steal your channel and hand it to someone and say, look, just don't be stupid enough to try to pretend that you're them, and you can use the channel however you like, that there's no court that's ever going to give the win back to the hypothetical Addison Rae in this scenario. They just won't, because as long as someone's not pretending to be the brand itself, it's still legal. So yeah, that's where the terms of service are going already. But if that wasn't creepy enough, we got more. Collected information. People have been highlighting this one, and they should be. It's a wild one. So, TikTok US makes it clear that they can collect any and all information that they gather about you through whatever means they gather it. This can include a lot of different things. Obviously, they can be geolocating through the app. They can get your precise location. If you do verification, then they can collect things like your driver's license number to use for verification. They are apparently making it clear that they can and will collect this information and may use it for other purposes. Here's some other stuff that they're also highlighting that they can and will collect. I want to be clear. This isn't stuff that they could be collecting. This is stuff they specifically spell out in the terms of service. It's written out in these words. Things that they will also collect if basically if your content mentions it in any way. Racial or ethnic origin, national origin, religious beliefs, mental or physical health diagnosis, sexual life or sexual orientation, status as transgender or non-binary, citizenship or immigration status, and financial information. You creeped out now? I mean, you scared? Remember, this is a company that is now owned by people who are very closely connected with the right-wingers in this country. A group that is not known to be particularly friendly to let's read this back. Those who have racial or ethnic origin other than Caucasian, a national origin that is really anything other than American, religious beliefs that are anything other than Christian or Catholic. They're not mental and physical health diagnosis. That one's a little bit fuzzier these days. They really aren't the biggest fans of anyone who is not traditionally straight. They certainly are not fans of transgender people. If your citizenship or immigration status is not born in the USA to people who have been here for a couple of generations, chances are they also aren't your biggest fan. And, well, if you're poor, they probably also don't like you. So this is a list of things that they are telling you very explicitly they will collect if you mention it in your videos or in any other capacity. That can be comments that you leave. It can be, well, pretty much just that. TikTok doesn't have a whole lot besides videos and comments, but yeah, if they get this information, they're collecting it. And remember earlier we discussed that part where they can transfer they can transfer anything that they have, basically, under the guise of content, but this data all constitutes content. They can transfer it to anyone they like, any partner that they want. That can include the US government. That can include that could include the Heritage Foundation. That could include, oh, I don't know. Feel free to make up whichever group you like. Point remains, scary. Very, very scary. We're into the like, if you use TikTok, you're begging for trouble. So yeah, my advice, do not use this app. Do not agree to these terms. You're probably putting yourself in harm's way eventually if you do. Or at least that would be my opinion. And again, as I have stated before, I'm not a lawyer, and all of what I've said is technically opinion, though the reading seems, at least based on what others have said, to be reasonably accurate. So yeah, avoid TikTok like the plague would be my honest suggestion to most people. I am open to, of course, being told I'm wrong, but I can't imagine anyone's about to. Let's see. So Carson bringing up another link. And just for that, you're doxing people on TikTok. I mean, pretty soon TikTok's only going to have the same people that are on Twitter, so that checks out. So yeah, at this stage, I consider TikTok a pretty scary place to be. I don't think there's any good argument for staying on the service. I think it is objectively dangerous to be a user of TikTok. At least unless you are a I don't know, member of the Proud Boys or something. Who knows? Like there's I'm sure groups that will be perfectly okay on there, but probably not very many of them. And even if they are safe on there, there's a very good chance, or at least a reasonable chance, that their content, if it becomes successful enough, will also get stolen. They won't get paid for it, and so on and so forth. Which, that is a notable bonus to all of this, which is, yeah, it's unclear how much they're even going to be paying out, or who is going to be paying out in what circumstances. So one thing I raised this question quite a while back, and I never got an answer to it, and I've tried finding some answers. So far I've been unsuccessful. I don't know if there is an answer to this even out there. But what is the situation between TikTok US and TikTok International? And by that I mean, let's say if you're a US user, can you even see videos posted by somebody in, let's say, the UK or Australia? I assume you can see them, but how is that working? What sort of collaboration is going on? And what does the algorithm recommend? Which we'll get to that in a little bit more detail in a second. But likewise, can somebody outside of the U.S. see TikTok or see U.S. TikTok creators? Will there be any limitations on this? And my example was, would someone in the UK be able to see someone in the US? But is the UK now under the US's control, or is this just going to be like TikTok China, and then TikTok for the rest of the world is under the US's thumb? That part was unclear to me too. Okay, so there's that aspect, and then I was also thinking about how does the payment work? So TikTok has always operated on this system of basically they have programs that they invite people into, and if you're part of the program, you get paid based on basically a share of views. So let's say their program plans to pay out $1 million. Your views account for like 0.1% of all the views of the people in that program. You basically make what is that? Out of $1 million, that should be what, $10,000 would be 0.1%. I think I might have that off. Whatever. Anyway, okay. Anyway, so who pays that now? And by that I mean, let's say a creator in the UK gets 500,000 views from one place, let's say the UK, and 250,000 views from the US. Who's paying their portions? Are portions paid? Do some of those views just not count? Do you have to be part of programs in both places? What if you're accepted into one and not the other? And under some of those circumstances, wouldn't it also make sense for the algorithm to intentionally feature accounts that they don't have to pay for, as opposed to accounts that they would pay for? And that's where this starts getting wonkier, and I would dare say actually becoming a more dangerous topic. What if what if TikTok China realizes, oh wait, we don't have to pay for, let's say, American creators? That's awesome. Let's just feature them more. At which point their videos will get a crap load of views. They're not going to get paid for most of it, and it becomes a weird imbalance where you could, let's say, live in the UK, and maybe American creators will come up way more than UK creators just because TikTok China wouldn't have to pay for it. Let's see. Also, how much is TikTok US actually operating TikTok in the US? I'm reading Hoopy's comment. You totally believe the first move was to outsource 99% of the operations back to ByteDance? I mean, that's certainly a good question, and very notably, ByteDance still owns, I believe it's 19.5%. I could have that wrong. I think that's the number. Do we have it in this article? Let's see. Ellison, an ardent Trump supporter, remains chairman and chief technology officer of Oracle, which is a managing investor with 15% ownership stake. So Oracle is 15%. Damn. Okay, I don't know. Maybe it's not in this article. I know I saw somewhere that for sure ByteDance still owns a portion of it. I believe it is non-voting portion, or non-managing. So they basically just get they get financial credit. They get profit off of it. However, I suspect, and I could be wrong on this, but my hunch is ByteDance probably also provides technological, we'll say, progress. So basically, if they add a feature to TikTok on their side, I believe they are contributing it also to the US version. So outsourcing it in the sense of like managing the servers, yeah, that's certainly a possibility, though supposedly that's all controlled by Oracle, and supposedly has been for a while. Maybe, I don't know. The algorithm is a big part of what's being changed, and was crucially a big talking point, but apparently the algorithm is also being changed, so who knows. Hoopy saying seemingly they're also already basically not paying TikTok creators already compared to other platforms. Yes. I've been paying attention to this for quite a while. TikTok creators get a comically low amount of money for what they do, compared to any other platform, at least any other platform that pays you. Apparently even Twitter pays better. So yeah, the strategy on TikTok is pretty much like, you're never going to make money through views, not any real amount. You have to hit like a couple million views before you actually make like enough to maybe pay a decent bill or something. By all accounts, you pretty much have to like, if you get into one of their programs, you will make some money, but it's not very good. So pretty much your path to making money on TikTok is by sponsorships. So brand deals, cut a deal with Nike. Let's just keep using Nike here. Cut a deal with Nike, they pay you directly, and that's pretty much where you make your money. That being said, TikTok did start a program where they were hooking brands up with creators. So they were basically functioning as their own agency. And so that was a way that people were kind of still making money through TikTok, even though it was with the brands themselves. And TikTok itself, of course, was taking a cut of that money, because why wouldn't they? They did nothing but put two people on a phone together. But hey, that's worth money. Anyway, yeah, so it's terrible money. Famously terrible money. Let's see. Yeah, but what does managed by Oracle even mean? My understanding, and who knows, this may not even be correct, but my understanding is Oracle is using its data center, or using a data center, or rather multiple data centers, I'm sure, just for geographic reasons. Oracle is purportedly using data centers to host videos, to host user data, basically to run the app. Like, all of this stuff is actually running in on hardware owned by Oracle. Complete rewrite in Java. Oh no, keep it away. Actually, please do that. Let's see the app run even worse. Supposedly it's a pretty crappy app already. that doesn't seem like the highest bar. What am I saying? Supposedly, I tried using it once a while back. It was horrible. The TikTok app was so buggy, and I'm sure still is. But whatever. And as I understand it, Oracle is in charge of rewriting the recommendation algorithm. So as I understand it, I think they're taking something that is supposedly like an older version of TikTok's algorithm, or maybe it's just like what TikTok was willing to share with them. I say TikTok, but ByteDance. Whatever ByteDance was willing to share with them, apparently that's being used as a starting point, or rumor has it that's being used as a starting point. And Oracle is going to be rewriting it to basically be the American or the US version of the TikTok algorithm. We'll see. I'm gonna wait to hear. I'm looking forward to hearing what this looks like, because I think it's pretty quickly we're gonna find out. Oh, it's mostly a bunch of right-wing accounts that are getting propped up. It's they're really going to just sort of demolish anyone who doesn't fit certain stereotypes, and yeah, that's probably it's it's going to be a very biased algorithm. Would anyone be surprised? Literally the same thing happened to Twitter, and nothing happened to Twitter as a result, except people started leaving, or more people started leaving. You mean, is Oracle doing any of that, or are they just giving ByteDance engineers an OCI account and saying, you use this now, not AWS? Maybe. I don't. We're never gonna know. Like, obviously, we're never gonna know unless someone's checking IP addresses for what it connects to. And even then, we're not gonna know who's actually quote unquote managing it, but we'll see. Seeing as this is early days, I think inevitably there is some of that happening for sure. Just because, like, the people who now take it over, they don't know the entire infrastructure of the app, the servers, they don't know everything that's going on, so they can't do it all themselves. I wouldn't even expect them to. So, yeah, like I'm not even inclined to judge that too harshly. What I'm more worried about is the business side of how this is all being implemented. Because I gave the example. What happens if one TikTok manager either US or China, ByteDance, what if one of them realizes, oh, hey, we don't have to pay anyone if we prop up these videos. Like, we can diminish the amount our creators would make off of us if we just show the creators from the other side, and that gives us more control over things. They now have an excuse to do that, or possibly they have an excuse to do that. Without knowing how this deal was structured, we don't know. So, yeah, there's a whole lot of still up in the air about all this, but that's the whole point. We don't get to know this stuff. That's the secret of the business. Which I feel like, very notably, for something that the President of the United States played such a apparently crucial role in determining this purchase and who gets it and everything else. It feels like if the president played such a role, maybe that should be a matter of public interest, and we should probably get to know what that deal was. But we never will. Or at least we probably never will. Yes, I get to play the tinfoil hat on that one. So let's see. Trying to think if there was any other angles that I wanted to hit with the TikTok thing. I don't think there are, but I will quickly suggest, just because, if anyone is so inclined to, check out Upscrolled, go there and claim your username now, just because if it's building users as quickly as it is, you might actually have an opportunity to grab up something today that might not be available tomorrow. And from what I saw of TikTok, man, usernames get crowded out fast. But hey, it is what it is. Okay, so and Carson shared, what? How did nothing get zapped by that? Got one. Okay, so Carson shared a link to 9 to 5 Google. Android's full desktop interface leaks, new status bar, Chrome extensions, and more. Where the hell are all these gnats coming from? Come on, get where I can see you. Okay, well, whatever. I know as soon as I put the zapper down, someone's gonna pop right back up. Okay, so a Google bug report on the Chromium issue tracker today has inadvertently leaked the Android desktop interface. Okay, well, that's fun. So it's codenamed Aluminum OS. It is Android 16. Okay. So is this video the oh no, the video is just showing. Okay, so this, I assume, is the okay. Oh, I don't think that. Yeah, okay. This is just highlighting that stuff. All right. Or is it? Oh, okay. So the status bar is taller and more suitable for large screens. The time is visible with the seconds on it. Yeah, that's kind of nice, I guess. The video's the leak. Okay. On the right side, we see Android 16 M3E battery icon, Wi-Fi and notification bell icon, the EN signaling English. Yeah, I do not like it. Does anybody like that battery icon, by the way? I hate this battery icon. It just doesn't look good to me. It's Android, but Chrome OS windowing UI. Yeah, pretty much. That's, yeah. It's got, of course, the Gemini icon and screen recorder pill. Yep, all checks out. So, yeah, nothing too remarkable there. Taskbar is identical. Mouse cursor has been slightly modified to have a tail. Did it not have a tail before? Come on, man. That's... Every mouse needs a tail. It's weird when they don't have one. Chrome interface mostly aligns with current large screen Android version, except for the extensions button, which is currently only available on the desktop browser. Yes, which is still a point of contention for literally everyone for good reason, because give us extensions on mobile, you cowards. And split screen multitasking, which, yeah, okay. Desktop windowing is mostly unchanged from what we have today, with the app name at the left. The minimize, full screen, and close buttons at the top right are similar to Chrome OS. And may I say Windows. Okay, so I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this because honestly, I'm still waiting to see. I'm waiting to see this happen, so to speak. Like, they keep working on putting Android on hard or on non-phone, non-tablet hardware. Well, I should also say also non-watch, non-goggles, non-whatever else. But yeah, they keep trying to put it onto laptops and desktops, but I don't see it ever actually really happening. Obviously, it can happen. They're doing it. Oh, non-TV and non-cart. Yes, you're right. Though, you know what? I'm going to argue car is basically just tablet. Prove me wrong. Because, holy crap, it is basically just the 7-inch tablet size for most cars. And they kept it working and functioning exactly like that. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I just haven't seen anything really materializing in the form of anyone actually using Android on desktop. They've been working on this for years in one capacity or another. Either they need to replace Chrome OS, which seems like they're kind of headed in that direction, but they're a long way from doing that. Or this needs to become its own thing, for better or worse. And then what? Like, where's it going to be? I don't know. Like, that's why I'm always a little I don't want to say skeptical, but just I'm waiting for someone to tell me what this is actually going to be. Not just, oh, it could be, maybe someday they'll replace Chrome OS. Or maybe someday they'll do this thing. Or maybe someday they'll do that thing. At this stage, they're working on this. Make it more than someday. And make it, give me that use case where it's not a maybe. Give me the use case of, okay, they've actually decided they're going to kill Chrome OS and replace it with this. Or, the whole idea is you'll be able to plug your phone into a monitor with keyboard and mouse and use it that way. Okay, these are real world uses that at some point they're actually saying, nope, we're going to do it. Not just, oh, we're kind of, maybe we'll get there some point. No, just do it. Like, actually show it happening. Commit to doing this. And then I'm interested. In the meantime, like, it's hard to get that interested in it, just because I kind of don't know that they're gonna do anything. And some of this is admittedly based on just how many years did we keep waiting for Fuchsia to, like, materialize and become a thing. It just never did. Because Fuchsia, like, it rose up. It was the exciting, like, wow, this is so fast. It's built on a real-time OS, or I thought it was. It's doing some neat stuff. And we kept hearing about it and kept hearing about it and kept hearing about it. And eventually it's like, oh, hey, it shipped on a couple of hubs, smart hubs. Yay. but no one can use it like that, really. Like, you're not using the OS, you're just using the appliance that the OS built. And eventually, then it was like, oh yeah, Fuchsia kind of just isn't happening anymore. And then that was it. Like, give us a little more. Show us something happening. Let's see. Let's see. Hoopy, you think it's a more serious effort than we've seen them poking around the last few years. Like, the video isn't all that much, but it's a big improvement over Android today. And I'm not disputing that. Like, it is, but also what is it until there's a what is it for? I'm just waiting to see them actually, like, go down a road where I can conclusively say, and they don't have to come right out and say something. Strictly speaking, if they pop up one day with a feature that every single person can just look at and say, you know what, the only reason for that feature to exist is they're going to make this a desktop OS. All right, good. I'm into that. Or one day it's going to pop up and, like, the only reason to do this is to use it for smart, or not smart displays, but to connect your phone to a monitor, keyboard, and mouse and use it just like a portable computer. Okay, show me that. I want to see it, and then I'm into it. But until that materializes, I'm worried that this is just another, like, we're goofing around and we have the infrastructure built here so that someone else might do it someday, and we're just never going to. And part of the reason why that's a concern of mine is the news that Corbin and I have been covering basically for the last month. Because take note of the part I said where someone else is going to do it. Who else? Is Samsung? Sure, Samsung has done a few things that Google hasn't with the technologies that Google built. Dex is basically the desktop version of Android in a very meager, kind of half-built way. But that's it. That's really it. Like, can we get more? No one else is doing anything with it. It's just Samsung. And Samsung hasn't done a bunch of the things that Google built into Android. So if Samsung's not going to do it and Google doesn't do it, who's left? Like, the other companies aren't doing even as much as Samsung does. And so there are things that were built for Android that just never materialized in any appreciable way. That's where I start finding a lot of this stuff being a problem, or not being a problem, but that's why I struggle with being interested in some of this stuff, because I feel like I've waited for so many things to materialize and then they just don't. And hey, sometimes that's development. You build something, it gets 90% of the way there. Everyone's like, ooh, this is really cool. But are we going to do a product with it? Everyone just looks around and no one's like, oh, I'll take over. Instead, everyone just looks around and is like, yeah, okay, it's dead. Never mind. Go work on some other project. Find something goofy to do, and that'll get leaked in another 6 months, and people chase that one around, and they'll think we're going to do something with it, and then we'll ask the same question in 6 months and find out that you just wasted 6 months of time, but you got paid, so cheers. Anyway, and Carson bringing up no new Pixel tablet in almost 3 years. Yeah. I'm still really unhappy with how they brought out the last one. Also, is it still for sale? I haven't looked in a while, but tablets. It is, and it's still $400 for this. $400 for this. This is too much money for this tablet. It is way too much money for this tablet at this point. They need to be putting this on clearance. Just to get them into the hands of people. Like straight up. This honestly, no. I'm going to go so far as to say they need to just not permanent. Though effectively permanent. They should drop this to $200. First as a bunch of sales, and then somewhere by I would say somewhere by June, just make it a permanent price drop. Make it, well, price drop it to say $300 with sales down to $200. People will scoop them up. That way it's at least in their hands. At this price, no one should buy this. But yeah, that's the thing. And you said it right there. You would consider it a second gen if they were actually more committed. The fact that they're not putting this out at a price people are willing to buy it in decent numbers. And who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a ton of people bought this. Yeah. Nobody, not no one bought this. Obviously, plenty of people bought this, but it's not the kind of numbers to keep Google interested in tablets. That much I think anyone can say with confidence. If enough people bought this that Google's like, ooh, hey, people have a taste for tablets. Damn it! I of course woke up my phone again with that. If enough people bought this that people are signaling they want a Google-made tablet, then they would have already come out with a second gen. They haven't. I think that proves it. Hoopy, you still think it's great. And I'm not disputing. I'm not even saying that it's a bad tablet. I have no opinion on that, actually. I'm just saying that the price is too high. No one wants to buy it. Let's see. What would a Tensor 5 base pixel tablet be able to do that the current one couldn't, desktop stuff aside? Well, Counterpoint, I doubt they're still making the same processor. They might be. But if they're making the same processor, come on. Then what else are they putting it in? So my guess is they're not selling it, whatever they made a while back. They're not selling enough of to clear out inventory. So I don't know. Maybe the processor is going into some other stuff too. That's a possibility, but I doubt it. To me, I think that tells us everything. Is they haven't sold out of this yet, and they're not making a second generation yet. So they either have some reason that they're still manufacturing the processor and therefore still selling a reasonable number of tablets, or they haven't sold, or they mass produced way too many tablets, which may not have actually been that many. We can't know that, but they probably produced enough of the processors and enough of the tablets that they just have a backlog and a huge overstock that they're still trying to sell out of. That, I think, is the at least a reasonable assumption based on what we can see. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad tablet. it just means that no one's buying it. Or, well, again, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be absolutist about it. People are obviously buying it, just I don't think they're buying it in large numbers. Which I think the most effective thing Google could do is, rather than let it sit and get stale on a shelf, lower the price enough that people start feeling like, oh, you know what? If we don't get this now, we might not get the opportunity. Or even just like, hey, it's a novelty. Get this tablet because it's kind of fun or worth having. At that point, you can start to justify maybe having more investment in tablets if people are getting them. Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, that's where I come down on this. Is I think they really they could do so much better if they were willing to commit to just, for lack of a better way to say it, if they would commit to subsidizing it. Let's see. All right. Hoopy. But to what end be slightly better at Netflix? Look, keep in mind, this was supposed to be their device that was like for home control and things like that. So in theory, doing a little bit more AI stuff actually might make sense on this. At the very least, for some like local processing of voice commands and things like that. But let's see. You say, calling it now, they'll take the wrong lesson learned, and the next Pixelbook will be $1,000 ballpark Surface style device to show they're committed to tablets and desktops, failing to deliver both. I think you're right. Eventually, that's what they're going to get to. Maybe it won't be the next one, but somewhere along the way, they're going to think, oh, well, we cut too many corners and ended up putting out something people just weren't excited by. And so, yeah, they'll think the obvious choice is just make something more premium. Here's the thing. There will be people who buy that too. And I don't think that's a problem. I want there to be products like that, even if I'm not going to get it. I want those products to exist because I think that's something people can look at and go, oh, yeah, okay. I'll we're into it. So Samsung killed their LPP node more than 12 months ago. Yeah, so they're not making any more of the chips for sure. It's hard to approximate tablet sales since you don't see them out and about like phones. Completely agreed. And seeing as you don't see tons of Pixel phones out, I think it's safe to say that if you don't own a Pixel phone, the odds of owning a Pixel tablet are even lower. Or rather, if someone doesn't own a Pixel phone, they probably didn't get a Pixel tablet. But you never know. I'm sure there are exceptions to that, but that's the exceptions sort of probably prove the rule. But yeah, let's see. The Surface style device is pretty much exactly what they did with the Pixel Slate. Rest in pieces. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with making that device. I just don't think it's going to sell in high numbers, which means they have to raise the price quite a bit in order to make it the word profitable would probably be wrong, but to at least mitigate loss. It's one of those situations where just so your losses aren't too high, you need to charge like 3 times charge enough that like a person buying one of them will pay for, like 3 or 4 of them being lost. Because that's likely what it comes out to. Let's see. And you're saying, I'm entirely viewing Google's tablet and potential laptop business through the lane of what Apple, or through the lens of what part of Apple's business is Google most envious of right now. Interesting. Honestly, I'm pretty confident the answer is just straight up. Google's always going to be most envious of the iPhone. But yeah, that being said, it is fair to say that I don't think anyone's really that concerned with the iPad right now. The iPad is as stable and stationary as it is. It doesn't really seem to be making crazy sales right now. But it's also the thing that just everyone gets. No one thinks about it in any other terms. Like, it's Apple's tablet. You get it if you want a tablet. Otherwise, you don't get it. Like, there's sort of no talk. There's no excitement about it. The laptops, I think, are the thing everyone's excited about, which in theory would be an argument for why Google would obviously want to be looking at a MacBook competitor rather than focusing on tablets. Better comparison isn't the Surface, but instead that Google will try to make what Apple wants the iPad Pro to be, despite nobody ever making a pro level tablet work. I feel like Apple kind of eventually got the pro tablet thing figured out. Not well, but they got there. They found a way to make it work. It's not dominant. It's just relevant. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see much of a future with any of that, if I'm being brutally honest. Google doesn't seem willing to commit to tablets in the like real commitment kind of way. And I think the only way Google can be in the real commitment kind of way is at least a every other year release. And I look, I said this so many times several months ago. Oh, God, jeez. My phone just keeps hearing me and clicking into trying to answer with so many things. Anyway, I think the only way, or I think the best strategy would be if they released basically a big Pixel tablet every other year, and then a small Pixel tablet every other year. And it doesn't have to be big. It could be premium versus budget, or it could be one of them that's designed for one purpose, and then one that's designed for some other purpose. And by that I mean, like, maybe one of them is your sort of pro. It's intended to travel with you. You attach a keyboard and do this and that, and it's the one for creatives. It's the one for business professionals. It's the one for that sort of thing. And then the other year could be like, here's the one that you keep at home. You can have like 1, 2, even 3 of these floating around your home, and and they have a dock that they're put on, and they work with speakers, and they have these other features that are like that, and they're built to cost less. Like, just straight up, they cost less. They're the budget thing, but maybe not cheap feeling, just more homey. Whereas the pro creative travel tablet is like, I don't want to say built rugged, but maybe built a little tougher, a little, again, more premium. It is more expensive, but it's gives you something for that expense. They could do anything like this, but they need to have products that at least get a 2-year update, if not yearly, but 2-year I think works fine. And ideally they pretty much need to have something come out every year. That way it shows we're doing something, we swear this time it's real. And then developers will finally start to at least take notice of it. In the meantime, I don't know any developer that cares about tablets. Honestly, I don't even know many developers that care about iPads anymore. But developers definitely do not care or trust in Android tablets. Why would they? And to be fair, it doesn't help that Fire tablets have existed this whole time and just kind of thrown the entire, or like chewed up just enough of the industry to make sure that there is no consistency and no one could really realistically target all Android tablets well. Let's see. You're sure there's some vision board in Mountain View that says Pixelbook Pro, Pixel Tablet 2, Pixel Tablet A? Oh, without question. Yeah. And you think Apple's developer attention on the watch and iPad has been slipping slowly over the years? Oh, without question. So I doubt, I don't know if you listen to the Accidental Tech podcast. I'm a couple years behind on that. Actually, it might be 3 years behind. But listening to the way that Marco Arment discusses developer attention on the watch, it's unkind, to say the very least. And that was 2 or 3 years ago. The watch is definitely not a focal point anymore. And we knew that already. I forget how long ago it's been, but there was a few years back. Well, few years. It's 2 or 3 years, maybe 4. I remember a whole bunch of apps that had come out for the Apple Watch, or rather apps that existed on the store that had Apple Watch companion apps or components or something like that. All of a sudden there was this thing where somebody was tracking it and they realized, hey, all these apps that used to have Apple Watch components, they're all disappearing. Like there was just suddenly this exodus where developers were just taking away the Apple Watch stuff that they had made. And it made sense. A bunch of them even responded just saying flat out, yeah, of course we're taking away, because nobody wants it. Like, no one's installing this stuff. We make it gets like 0.5% of user share, if even that. A lot of those people don't even use the app, they just install it. And so, there's no point to it. So a lot of developers were just killing off their apps. And obviously part of this is they don't have enough influence on the app or on the watch. Like there's not enough of a service area within the watch's interface to actually even do a useful app. In many cases, they have limitations on what apps are even allowed to do. There are just too many weak points. So the watch has been sort of screwed for years. Really, the only reason that the Apple Watch is as popular as it is because Apple puts so much attention on the watch itself. They're the ones adding the stuff everybody wants. Most other companies are just like, maybe they're obligated to put out a watch app because of what they make. Otherwise, I swear, I'm not hearing any developers really talking about putting emphasis on the watch. Let's see. And you said, certainly Google seems to have come to the conclusion that there's exactly one app for the Pixel Watch that matters, and it's Fitbit, and everything else is incidental. Yeah. Yeah, and that's because they're watching Apple. Because Apple's putting so much health stuff into the watch. The only thing is, the Fitbit app is pitiful compared to the stuff Apple's putting in. And Google isn't trying hard enough to find other ways to use the watch. Which, I'm going to go out on a brutal limb here and say, maybe this is where AI could be useful. Start thinking of all the things where you could go all Star Trek-y with it, and like, what would somebody maybe have said to their communicator to ask Majel Roddenberry? It's any Trekkie knows that what I'm getting at there. If like, what did they ask? Because if you can put that onto a watch where people can just use their watch to do that instead of reaching for their phone or having to call out the activation phrase or whatever, that's kind of cool. Maybe that's the thing that moves the needle a little bit. But yeah, they need to try to branch out at least a little. And yeah, app development for the watch is just kind of as stagnant as it gets. Calendar integration, yeah, that's helpful to an extent, though, to be fair. I think it is almost as good as it's really going to get, in the sense of, like, it shows you notifications when, let's say, an event is coming up or whatever. You can have it show you, like, your all day, like, what comes next kind of stuff. There are things. It's just meh. Let's see. You said your theory on the Pixel Watch being the only serious AI wearable that exists today, and it's not even that good at it. I mean, are we excluding goggles? Because I feel like goggles is still a good AI landscape. At least in the sense of you certainly would want to control it with voice, which debatable if we would call that AI or not. But the things that you can do with it, there are some AI related things that actually make sense, and they work fairly well, at least in the demos that we've seen Dieter pull off. Glasses, goggles, interesting, but wouldn't say they exist today. Okay, yeah, that's the distinction, and that's kind of why I challenged that one. Yeah, it doesn't really exist today, but it is the place where it also makes sense. I'm still gonna venture. I would not fully write off like a home-based tablet that is otherwise basically like a home hub, effectively. I think you can still put some AI on that and make it useful. It's not really any different than using a phone, but having a screen that's up and attached to a dock does have its perks and something to be attracted to. So that's kind of where I'm leaning in that direction. Oh boy, Carson, I just saw what you posted into the RambleCast chat room. Or, well, I haven't fully read it, but I'll look at that in a second. This is creepy. Except, wait. Is what Austin said accurate? Because I understood it to mean something else, but I'll come back to that. Let's see. Hoopy saying, I do think the most damning part of the Pixel tablet's existence today is that it still can't use Gemini in speaker mode. Really? That's weird. Okay, it's not accurate. Got it. I mean, it easily could have been that, but okay. Screw it. I don't know that I can. I don't know that there's a whole lot else that I can really comment on with the Pixel tablet stuff. Um, I mean, it's an interesting conversation. I just we might be approaching the edges of it at the moment. But oh, you say it can have Gemini, but only in normal tablet usage, while docked its assistant or nothing. That's got to be something that they'll fix, right? Like at a certain point, that's got to come to like the Google app. You would think. Okay. So if there's more on that, go ahead and say it in chat and I can possibly come back to it. But I'm going to quickly sidetrack to this because I believe if I understood it, I think I can explain this. Okay, move it over a little bit. Shrink that down so it's not directly colliding with chat. Okay. This is a statement from Visa. Quote, Visa will be working with our U.S. financial institution partners to enable a new capability that will offer cardholders the option to direct credit card rewards into Trump accounts. It's a simple way for families to turn rewards earned on everyday purchases into savings for their children's futures. Okay, actually, Austin, I think what you said was semi-accurate. If I remember... Okay, I originally thought this was something different, but for reference, at one point, some of the phrasing that was used around the term Trump account was actually in reference to credit cards where you could only have a credit limit up to 10% of what your potential debt limit was. Which, what? It was a very weird thing that they were talking about. And that's very possibly even what this might be. So this very obviously is a different thing that was mentioned, and it references the so if you remember the what was it called? Michael Dell gave a donation to launch a bunch of so-called, I believe they were also called Trump accounts, or evidently they are now. They were basically for qualifying children, it would effectively be an amount of money that would go into an account. It was effectively a savings account. Or, well, call it whatever you will. And the idea was that once a kid reaches, I think it was 18, then they could either use the money to go to college or just try to start a business or whatever else. It's one of the few ideas that if you ignore some of the problems with it, it sounds like a really good idea. It's not the most offensive idea there is. Certainly giving kids a savings account or creating a savings account for kids is a good idea. The problem with it was, first off, it actually did use crypto as its storage mechanism. So inherently that was a little flawed in logic, because there was never any good reason for it to be crypto based. That's entirely about feeding a crypto industry rather than any valid thing. The other problem was they created a bunch of limitations on who was going to get those accounts. Now, the way I read it, and I don't know if this is entirely accurate, I don't really care. Anyone who made, or any family that made over a certain amount per year, they just weren't eligible for it at all. That's fine. Good. That's the way it should be. But there were a whole bunch of other weird restrictions that basically eliminated a whole bunch of poor people from being able to get part of that donation. So it ended up going to like middle class and the not rich, but not like, well, the people who land somewhere between like middle class and rich. Yeah, they all got it, or were going to get it. A lot of middle class is going to get it, and then some poor families will too, but certainly not all of them. And the amount of money going in isn't particularly spectacular. A lot of people raised the question of why is it going into a crypto thing rather than like the stock market, and that was never answered. Personally, I'd at least think like maybe something where they could be managed stocks would make a lot more sense, but yeah, I don't know. There were obviously a lot of bad ideas that were getting floated around in that whole situation. Let's see. Gemini one day, while doctored. Nice. Let's see. Yeah, so if you search Michael Dell Trump account or even Trump account donation, let's see. Just the AI overview. I'm not going to bother with trying to come up with a good, perfect source. In December of 2025, Michael and Susan Dell pledged $6.25 billion to fund Trump Accounts, a new federal initiative for approximately 25 million children under age 10. These accounts, part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, the provide $250 in seed money for children born before 2025. The initiative aims to promote long-term savings for American children. Key details. Target population. The funds are aimed at children 10 and under who are not covered by the initial government $1,000 grant for children between 2025 and 2028. You have to live in zip codes with medium household income below 150,000. Purpose. Well, yeah, I already explained that part. It is, yeah. The accounts allow for private, charitable, and employer contributions, which notably what Visa is talking about here is you can basically designate an account, a Trump account, and as you use the credit card and gain rewards, those rewards can automatically go into the account and presumably build more money. Let's see. So man, these gnats are driving me nuts. Okay. I don't know why they're popping up. So yeah, if I remember, this is again still a crypto thing, and I believe the whole logic behind it was effectively, so for those that follow crypto at even a basic level, you've probably heard of staking. The idea being that basically you're committing some amount of money to be in a staked, well, not staked account, but you're locking up some of the money, and it encourages stability in the valuation of that crypto coin. And as a result of staking, you make whatever amount every few days, or whatever percentage every few days, and that fluctuates in weird ways. And it's all about basically keeping crypto stable, or further stabilizing it. Of course, none of that does any good because it's crypto, and valuations fluctuate by so much. And most of the coins, with a few exceptions, they go up when they suddenly hit big for whatever reason, and they climb for weeks or maybe even a couple months, and then they eventually hit whatever peak, and then they just slowly drift down and down and down, and eventually they get forgotten and nobody invests in them anyway, and they just kind of go off and die. So whatever this invests in, it's probably not going to be very successful in the long run anyway. That's my theory. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe whatever they pick will do well. And yeah, what David said. Sorry, kid. Lost your college fund to crypto. That's very, very, very possibly what's going to happen here. So, who knows? Maybe it'll work, and maybe, let's see, I suppose I should, just in the offhand chance something weird comes popping up. Trump account implementation. Does this have anything that specifies? Because this was supposed to be an investment thing, not just a savings account. If it was a savings account, like, anybody could do this, and there's no reason for anything else. Oh, this is so dumb. What the hell? What? Okay. Well, putting this back in. Funding and limits. Individual contributions are capped at $5,000 per child per year. Employers can contribute up to $2,500. Why? Why is there a limit? What kind of sense does that make? I'm sure it's something about it, like evading taxes or something, but why is there a limit? Logically, that shouldn't make sense. The weird stuff that this administration comes up with. We'll just try that. All right, they are tax-advantaged investment accounts for children designed to build long-term wealth. 1,000 goes in, or in this other case, 250. It's a treasury deposit for eligible newborns. Okay, so it's treasury. Or wait, is it? They operate like a custodial account until age 18, after which they function as a traditional IRA with potential for tax-deferred growth. Okay. Alright, so maybe they aren't crypto. Why is it? I know I read somewhere that they were crypto at one point. I wonder if that was just something that they were tossing around and then realized that was a horrible idea. Like, holy crap levels of stupid. I don't know. It's too tough to know with this administration what's even gonna stick, because man, they try something, it goes sideways, and then they try 10 other things and those go sideways, and then eventually something pops up and it's like, okay, you finally stumbled onto something right, but even then it's still kind of a bad idea. Sounds like Visa probably just got like pressured into caring about this, or pretending to care about this. It's not like it's that big of a deal. All they're doing is saying, oh, you want to automatically redirect rewards into one of these accounts? Fine, whatever, we don't care. That's easy enough to do. All right. Anyway. Oh, it's not even that. Okay. I'll wait because I was just about to say I should probably wrap up, but I'll wait if you've got some if you're cooking something else. Um. Uh. Oh. Okay. Yeah. I see. Um. If you want to do a Trump thing, convince your bank to do it, and we'll help. Right. Um. Anything but branding it Trump would be better. But you realize that's the thing that they have to do. Like, he wants to have his name on everything. It's what a king does. That, and there you go. Like, that's that. We're right back to that. It's literally something that a king would have done. You you don't have to look very far back, and well, maybe timeline wise a little far, but you don't have to try hard to find lots of examples where kings put their names on everything. Like, coins were minted with their likenesses because they just had to be on something. They had statues built of themselves. They like sometimes whole cities were named after the king while they were kings. Yeah, you know, not all of them were like that, but certainly some of them. And yeah, they still do that in Canada. Fair enough. Um, so yeah, we're in that we're in that lovely phase of government failure to to manage itself, um, or society's failure to manage itself. Whatever. Uh, imagine if we could just have a functioning civilization again. Look, I remember growing up when that was a thing. It was nice. Um, one day, let me pull up a whiskey and I'll tell you about it. Actually, no, I won't. That sounds awful. Make it rum and then we're down. Good sipping rum sounds so good right now. Anyway, before I say something that gets me in trouble, I should probably wrap it up. Apparently it's only for kids between 2025 and 2028, so good luck getting support for these accounts in the program. No, wait. So, Carson, Cody, what was it like before electricity? Or sorry, Hoopy saying that. I will have to get back at you for that someday. And you're in Portland, so you're not far enough away. I could at least plausibly get back at you. But no, Carson. Okay, the $1,000 Trump accounts. Those are for kids between 25 and 28. Well, 2025 and 2028. It's the $250 amount is for kids born before 2025 and are under the age of 10. And that's the one where Michael Dell donated into it. The ones that are 2025 through 2028, those come from the Treasury Department, or the $1,000 comes from the Treasury Department, which that's such a weird choice to me, but whatever. So strictly speaking, it's 13 years of Trump accounts in a sense. Like, they're all going to be created in the span of 3 years, but there will be accounts for kids of 13 years worth of age. And actually, is that 2028 start of year or end of year? Because I guess that could be 14 years. Anyway, so it's not nothing. It does apply to a fairly large swath of kids. But also, it's not that much. It's not going to make that big a I mean, there's a difference there, but those kinds of savings accounts do not add up to huge amounts of money, especially with the way our economy is going right now. Um, so yeah, I look. I'm not going to hate on it. I think there is a good idea there. Um, Frankly, I'd almost rather again, like I'd almost rather just see it in some sort of a managed investment plan where um I don't know. So anyone who is reasonably competent to invest can invest in something a little uh, invest in something sufficiently stable and like turn it into a real amount of money. At least uh a more substantial quantity. But hey, you know, whatever. It's money. Like I'm not going to hate on that. Um that being said, uh imagine how much more could be done if I don't know, we didn't build if we didn't build like a submarine that nobody will ever pilot, or uh, some of the battleships that we make that never get used, um, because they're considered faulty by design. Or by the way, look that one up if you don't know what I'm talking about, because we actually make a couple different models of battleships that everybody hates. They think they're garbage, and we can't sell them. We can't do anything with them, but we keep making them because uh, some states rely on the money that comes in from making some individual junk part. Um, there's a whole John Oliver episode about this. Anyway, um, oh, or we could also just stop funding ice. That'd be pretty neat. But whatever. So with that said, I think I've now said at least enough that someone would probably like to shut me down. So, also, my holy crap, my voice and throat is uh, dying. I cannot keep speaking. Shout out to SLS for still existing for the same reason. Yeah, true. Anyway, so again, if you're interested in the anti-gravity drone, check out my link, my affiliate link to their website or to Adorama. That would certainly help. Um, Sponsored by, not really. Um, let's see. Oh, of course. Thanks everyone for coming by, hanging out, being part of the conversation. Um, if you enjoyed the stream and would like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. Of course, any little bit helps, believe me. And again, if you're going to be doing any kind of shopping, check out my website. There's a product recommendations page. If you click through like Amazon or Autorama, then buy something there after adding it to your cart. I get a little cut of that profit, and it costs you nothing. So all of that would be certainly welcome ways to support the channel. And let's see, I will be back this weekend with, for sure, some Overwatch, because competitive drives are starting up, I think, tomorrow? Maybe it was today. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Somewhere in the next day or so, competitive drives start up, and I will be playing a lot of Overwatch to try to get through them as quick as possible. If I finish in time, I will very possibly switch over and play some Halo, and finally do the Halo Master Chief Collection that has been promised for some number of weeks, and for various reasons kept getting put off. I guess. Sorry, I instantly felt a dry spot on my throat, and it's like, if I don't drink water this instant, I'm gonna cough. Anyway, yeah, so I was supposed to be playing that through with Alyssa. I believe that won't be happening anymore, or at least I suspect it won't be. I have no way to reach out. Um, so I will very likely pick up and play sometime soon. Also, on a separate note, I'm very likely going to be making my return to Twitch very soon. More news on that to come. But with and of course there is definitely an anti-gravity drone review coming. Situations will be worked out. All right. In having said all of that, let's see. Carson, you said you were hoping your company would approve it for safe for work to try out. If you, I see. Hoopy brought up if you're interested in an anti-gravity the text editor, check out developers where you complain about it a lot. I approve of this message. I haven't messed with it, but I can truly imagine it. Yeah. Anyway, with that, I think I've said pretty much everything, unless I forgot something. If I did, pretend I said it, and then do with it as you will, I guess. But with that, I hope you all have an excellent rest of your week and a good evening. I will see you all in the next one. Good night, everybody.